Recipes for technical trading success in Cook's Kitchen.
Has NVIDIA finally met its match? Yesterday I was on Tracy Reinick's Market Edge podcast, and we were talking about the chips and whether they could get going off the ground, so to speak, as I've been hoping. And the question came up, hey, who can dethrone the king of AI? Not less than 2 hours later, we saw the news that Google has ramped up their machine intelligence and AI capabilities. And we're going to take a look at that. First, let's look at the technicals of the market real quick. Little review here. This is a chart from the Luthold Group looking at prior S&P corrections since 1950 that did not correspond or coincide with a recession. Now you can see how deep some of these are. 1998 was almost 20%. 1987 was pretty wicked, 35%. 2011, almost 20%. What else we got here? 1961, 62 was nearly 30%. 1966 was nearly 25%. And here we are just bumping along. And this is what I've been talking about is, how serious a correction is this? We've done 10%, but these things usually rebound much faster. And this one's not. It's taking so long to get back up and go. Let me show you the way the Luthold Group sort of summarized it. They said the correction clock is ticking. And what they're implying is time could be running out for this thing to get up and go. They say that so far the correction qualifies as an intermediate one. And historically, the duration of intermediate corrections is brief. So it should be going already. Time to move back above the recovery highs has historically been brief. We're pushing the limits of that. This year's retracement route is already among the most meandering of all recovery paths since 1950. That's the sort of malaise we have that I've been talking about. Anticipation of a potential trade war, the idea that peak earnings are in the rearview mirror. Yesterday on our Zach's Ultimate Strategy session, or actually Monday, but the video came out for Zach's Ultimate members on Tuesday, Shiraz Mian surprised me, our director of research, when he said that this trade war stuff, this uncertainty, could be a headwind for the market for another 6 to 9 months. And he's our fundamental guy. And if he's saying that, that has me a little bit concerned that, that this baking in of the uncertainty and this malaise that we're in could keep pressure on the market, and we could get another dip lower. So far, so good, though. Let's look at my stocks chart. This is the one I showed you from the beginning of May. Looking for a potential bottom here and risking 5% to hopefully make 15, 20%. That's in progress. You see the stocks here, getting off of 1250. And this morning, it's up above 1325. We're in here on May 9th. Okay. Now, we got a big report coming up tomorrow. NVIDIA, speaking of chips, reports on Thursday, May 10th. Here we are, making new all-time highs. 254.80-ish would be the new all-time high. Just barely, taking out this 54.50 or something by, a quarter or 50 cents. But NVIDIA had some big news yesterday, as I mentioned. Google ramped up their TPUs. TPU stands for Tensor Processing Unit. And, if you didn't know that Google was experimenting with their own AI chips, now you know. Tensor has been their software language to do machine learning, deep learning applications, but they've also been building their own chips. Why? Because they don't want to buy somebody else's. They want to custom make their own. And they launched the 3rd generation yesterday on Tuesday, May 8th. And, this is the wake-up call for the king of AI, NVIDIA, because now data center customers have a new place to go if they're doing, massive parallel processing or deep learning, machine learning applications. So let's take a closer look at what Google actually announced and what it means. Okay. So here is an article from, I think this is Extreme Tech. I took this, Joel Hurska writing for Extreme Tech, May 9th. So Google announces an 8 times faster TPU 3.0 for AI machine learning. And we'll get into more of the details here. I'm just going to go right to the next slide. So the thing is liquid cooled. That's how, that's what they think they need to do for it. Those are water pipes, actually, cooling these processors. So here, Google comes out with Gen 3 of their tensor processing units, and it's running so hot and so many calculations that they want to water cool it just to make sure everything works out okay. So let's find out why. What kind of processing power are we talking about? Let's look at the second generation so we know where we came from. So a year ago, in May 2017, this was an article on Ars Technica, great website for deep dives on tech. Google brings 45 teraflops TensorFlow processors to its compute cloud. Okay, so the first generation had 16 gigabytes of memory. Second generation is increasing bandwidth to 600 gigabytes or 45 teraflops. So what is a teraflop? Teraflop stands for trillion, 1 trillion floating point operations per second. Okay, this is the lingo of the engineers who who want to do parallel processing and run millions of calculations per second simultaneously. For comparison's sake, the new Xbox One went from 1.3 teraflops to 6 teraflops. So that's 6 trillion floating point operations per second, and it's more capacity. When Microsoft launched it, it's more capacity than it needs for gamers, but they wanted to build in the capacity so that it's still very useful, say 3 to 5 years from now. All right, so we know what a teraflop is. So what did Google do for the second generation TPU? They took these 45 teraflop units and arranged them into 4-chip modules to get up to 180 teraflops. Then they took 64 of those and put them together to create something that has the processing power that we would call 11.5 P-flops. P is for petaflops. So go up another order of magnitude, right? So we're going to go from trillion to quadrillion. Right, that's right, 10 to the 15th, 15 zeros. And they're working with 11.5 P-flops in the second generation of the TPU. So able to run 11.5 quadrillion floating point operations per second. This is massive, massive parallel processing that data centers, universities, corporations can use for real-time data analysis, machine learning, and deep learning. All right, so you can stop the video, obviously, if you want to read more of this, but definitely check out the Ars Technica website and Extreme Tech for more background. So what does a 64-card TPU pod with 11.5 petaflops of computation look like? Picture you're standing in a room on this floor here, right? Here's the floor down here. You're standing there looking at these carts on wheels. Here you have a 64-card TPU pod. I mean, this is the kind of hardware that Google put together a year ago to do massive parallel processing to take on NVIDIA. All right, now, who thinks this is finally the competition that dethrones NVIDIA as the king of AI? Well, Citron definitely does, and as soon as they saw this news on Tuesday morning, they sent out a tweet, and we'll just read it here. Citron Research says, not a story of shorts versus NVIDIA, it is NVIDIA versus Google. TPU 3.0 announced today is 8 times faster than 2.0 and liquid cooled. So back to the 8 times faster. What I was showing you, 11.5 petaflops, supposedly 3.0 is 8 times faster than that. I'm not going to do the math there and get into what level of flops we're at there right now off the top of my head, but It's MPA. It's massively parallel architecture. All right, back to Citron's view. So this happens when a customer competes, and this is what Citron's been waiting for. NVIDIA overvalued at 50 times, even 40 times, they would argue. So they expect the press to write about this soon. Citron is shorting NVIDIA into earnings. And hey, good company, they admit, but a dangerous stock price. And of course, they're talking about the valuation premium. I've said you could pay up to 50 times for NVIDIA, as long as the market's strong. The market is not strong right now. So I was nibbling below 40 times, and now we're getting back up there again. Tomorrow is going to be very interesting fireworks when we see, because remember the thing about NVIDIA earnings, it's not just a beat and raise quarter. It's also, here are the 5 innovations that we came up with this quarter or this month. I mean, if you don't already, you should be going on NVIDIA's website at least twice a week and checking their newsroom blog and seeing what the latest thing they're working on, whether it's for data centers, factory automation, autonomous vehicles. I know they're scaling back on autonomous vehicles, or at least stepping back. But that's coming. That's part of the future, whether it's another 5 or 10 years from now. But corporations still want what NVIDIA offers in terms of massively parallel architecture. I have one of the smaller boxes at my house, and I can't believe the thing has 21 billion transistors in it. So that's a Volta Tesla system. And NVIDIA is probably going to announce something about their next generation of a Volta processor. And so if you're Microsoft or Amazon, you want this kind of computing power. NVIDIA has CUDA, which is Compute Unified Device Architecture, and Google has their own compute platform based on the Tensor math language, and now their own TPUs, which are highly advanced. So Microsoft, Amazon, Alibaba, Baidu's an NVIDIA customer, but they need this kind of hardware. And now NVIDIA has major competition for a major data center corporation university to do machine learning and deep learning. I think that's all I had for you. Yeah, so let's get ready for the fireworks. NVIDIA earnings going head-to-head with Google TPU. Talk to you later. Thanks for joining me in the kitchen.